Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Startup for Startup. Today's session will be hiring, onboarding, and running a remote sales team. Lessons that I've personally learned along the way when building out our Monday.com San Francisco office. Really excited to share this content with you and get things kicked off. So a little bit about myself. My name is Mitchell Blickman. I've been at Monday.com for 3 years now. I manage the San Francisco office. We're currently 6 account executives who focus on net new business and 2 account managers that focus on growth and expansions. We're going to hire 2 to 3 more reps by the end of the year to round the team off at around 10 or 11 people. I was part of the very first sales hires of Monday.com back in 2017. I've been super lucky to witness the incredible growth that we've been on. Back when I started, we were around 18 million in annual recurring revenue. In those 3 years since I've joined, we've actually done 10x and are now at around 180 million in revenue. So it's been super exciting growth. We grew the sales team from less than 10 people. Now we're over 150 spread across Sydney, Australia, Tel Aviv, our headquarters, London, New York, and now San Francisco. I am still residing in Tel Aviv, Israel. Yes, my team is San Francisco. Yes, we are 10 hours apart. That's part of what today's session will be about in building out and running remote teams. So for today's agenda, I'm going to start off with a short personal story. Then we'll dive right into the real content, which starts with hiring. This is the scouting, the recruiting, the interviewing process. Then we'll go into onboarding. This is getting people ready, enablement, training, ramp up. And then we'll go into the running side, which is like the management of the team, executing against goals. And at the end, we'll leave about 10 minutes for Q&A. You do have a Q&A function in your Zoom. So please write your questions there and not in the chat. Do use the chat for communicating with each other. Let's make this interactive. There's people in here from all over the world. So if you see something you like, let people know. If it's something you've tried, talk about it. I do hope that you find value in today's session and can leave here with 1, 2, 3 things that you can take back with you to your team and get some value out of. Back at the end of 2019, we started putting together our high-level company goals for the next year, 2020. Part of these goals were global expansion, so opening up our Sydney office, London, and San Francisco. I was tapped for the amazing opportunity of opening the San Francisco office, building out the team, bringing in Monday.com culture, and adding $2 million in annual recurring revenue. Seems like a pretty easy task, right? I was super psyched about it. This is an example of our high-level numbers, how we kind of broke this down. This is looking at the US side of the business. So we had to do around 31 million in 2020, broke it out into quarters. The part that I would be responsible for out of the San Francisco office was around 2 million. So now I had to put a plan together to get to these numbers. This is the hiring and ramp up plan, so we would know how many reps we needed to fill the slots in the team. When you are building out a sales team, super important to keep in mind, reps that you bring into your team in the beginning of the year won't really get ramped up and start putting up numbers until the second half of the year. So keep that in mind. At the bottom left of the screen, you can see our ramp up plan. It's a 6-month program, takes reps from completely zero, going through the training, onboarding, and ramping up to 60K in added ARR per month. So we knew we had to bring in around 10 hires by the end of the year to bring in that 2 million mark. Took a trip to San Francisco, tried to get a lay of the land, met people, checked out neighborhoods for, potential apartment, potential office, came back to Israel, super excited to get things kicked off. And then I think everyone knows what happened at that point. COVID-19, the world changed. Um, it was a really crazy time. I think we've kind of gotten used to things, but it was a huge level of uncertainty. And we arrived at a crossroads and had to decide what to do. Now, I have built out a team before. Before running the San Francisco team, I was running a team of 9 reps out of our Tel Aviv headquarters. So now we had to make the decision, okay, do we put the plan on hold and wait until the world kind of goes back to some sort of normalcy, or do we move things forward? So at Monday.com, we don't really cancel our goals. We don't put things on hold. We actually took a third route, and that was move forward but adapt. So we had to take into the account, the new environment, all the changes around that, and adapt our plan of execution. So that's exactly what we did, and that's what I'll be talking with you all about today. Building a team, it all starts with good hiring, finding good talent. Again, this is the scouting, the interviewing process. So in order to find the right candidates, you need to know what you're looking for. You need to have a candidate profile in place. If you have a candidate profile, that's great. You probably will have to adapt it. Keep in mind that things are different now. So the types of reps you were looking to join your team when you had an office might be completely different to the profile that you want to bring in now while everyone's working remote. Now, when you are building out your profile, keep in mind it's not for the individual. Often people think of selling as a very individualistic profession. It's not. Selling is a team activity. So think about the skill sets of what you have in place, the composition of talent, and what would be the best talent to balance that off. So if you have a lot of really senior people, maybe it makes sense to bring on some more junior reps who are hungry and have that passion and drive that you're looking for. If you have people who are great in running the sales process, but you're a little weak on the technical side, so develop a profile to get people with high technical capabilities. So adapt your profile to the needs at hand. Whatever changes you make, communicate these changes with HR. They probably have job postings out. They're working with recruiting firms. It's really important that you communicate the changes you've made to the profile and why, because they're going to have to screen candidates as they come in for the first interview and make sure they're fitting those qualities that we're looking for in the team. Monitor changes in the industry. Unfortunately, a lot of companies had layoffs, downsized, let people go. There's a lot of really good talent in the marketplace right now that's looking for jobs. So for example, in Sunnyvale, California, LinkedIn, they let go of like 900 employees from the California office. It's like 6% of their global workforce. Now, if our candidate profile aligns with people at, coming from LinkedIn, this is an amazing talent source. So monitor changes, see what type of companies are downsizing, letting people go. If you think there's some good overlap and relevancy, these are great people to go after. So who actually is the ideal remote candidate? Again, this is not a one size fits all type of thing. Every company is going to have their own needs based on the team that they already have in place. It doesn't matter if you're hiring for one position or if you're building out an entire team from scratch. Think about what traits are important to you. Maybe you have like an all-star A+ player. Backwards engineer the profile. Look at that person. What type of characteristics do they have that make them succeed in the role? Look at what is their career experience? Where are they coming from previously? And try to replicate the characteristics that make that person a good success. So our candidate profile, we had one in place, always did. What we looked at heavily in the past was coachability, hunger, passion, that winner attitude, drive, curiosity, someone who asks a lot of questions, who's curious. Now, all of these things are still very important to us, but we adapted the profile to the situation at hand, and gave additional weight now to professional experience, years on the job, relevancy of industry, independence, someone who could just be a self-starter, track record of success. We're looking now for people who have been there, done that, can join the company, go through the onboarding program, get ramped up with as little hand-holding as possible for them to succeed. Once you've identified your candidates, you've screened them, now it's time for the manager interview. Again, things are different than they used to be. It's not the same when someone would come into the office and have a face-to-face, in-person interview. Be considerate of the challenges and the differences of the technology. So if you're doing interviews on Zoom or GoToMeeting or whatever it is, be aware that it's different. So me, when I'm doing my interviews, I'm looking at the candidate and the screen right here. I have another screen here. Half of it is the resume. Half of it I'm taking notes. So I let them know in advance, hey, I'm going to be shifting my view over. I'm going to be taking notes. It's not that I'm not paying attention. That's what's going on. So let people know what's going on. You may have internet issues, lag, people freeze. Everyone has had that experience with Zoom or whatever tools you use. Don't take it on the candidate, could be coming from your side. So just be considerate of the situation. Ask the right questions. So when you build out the profile, you have these characteristics, these qualities that you're looking to fill for. You want to align your questions with giving you indication of how this person will fit these characteristics. So for example, us, now I'm looking for people who are more independent. So some of the questions I ask: have you ever ran your own business before? If you haven't, have you ever started a new initiative within the company? Can you tell me about that? Have you ever worked in a satellite office? The people who already have worked in satellite before the whole world was doing it, maybe you want to give extra points to that. Can you walk me through a complex deal that you worked on where you didn't have the internal resources that you would have liked to had? All of these things are indicators that are going to tell me a person's level of independence. So whatever characteristics are important to you, make sure you have questions that align with giving you the indication of those things. Zooming out, if you're to walk away with 3 tips for hiring effectively, the first one, it's different, adapt. It's a completely different environment. You're going to need to change the profile, change the way you do interviews, change the way that you work with recruiters. Be selective, especially if you're building out a new team. The first people that you bring on board to your team, they're going to be the ones that set the pace for performance expectations, for culture. They're the trailblazers. Be selective, don't rush. Make sure you find the right people. There's a lot of amazing talent out there that is on the marketplace, not because of their fault, but because of the situation. So it's a great time to pick up really talented people. The third point, be empathetic. It's a scary time to join a new company, especially for the people that do have jobs and they're considering leaving a level of certainty for the unknown. Be empathetic, be open, be honest. If we don't actually know when the physical San Francisco office is going to open. So in the interview process, I let people know, hey, we're operating on a to be determined basis. As soon as things change, we'll definitely let you know. The more open and honest you can be, that helps build trust, and it's going to help you find good talent in this challenging time. So once you've hired the people, now you have to onboard and train them. So that's what the next section is about. Being that people are onboarding remotely from their home, you want to make sure that everyone has easy access to information or knowledge. So make sure you have some sort of repository or database kind of like a one place to go for all of their needs that will direct them to the right knowledge base article or the right person who's responsible for different things. People aren't in an office anymore, not in an open space. They can't just turn to someone and ask, hey, how do I do this? What am I supposed to do for this? So make sure that you consolidate all of the important processes and knowledge in one place for easy access. Onboarding program. Most companies have an onboarding program in place. This is an example of ours. Well, it's a portion of week 1. So what you can see in the column that's labeled type, you can see like what kind of task or information is this part of the onboarding. Is it a presentation? Is it a meeting? Is it an assignment? Is it a test? And what this allows me to do, especially since we're 10 hours apart, we have a trainer who runs the program. This allows me to just have easy visibility into everyone's progress, see where they stand with the onboarding without having to ask them. I can see where people are stuck, I can help where necessary. The person column, this is really, really important. The ones you see with people, these are sessions that are led by a trainer or a senior employee. All of the other rows that don't have a person assigned to it, these are self-led materials, things that people can just work on their own. So that's another really important part of adapting to the remote environment. It used to be the majority of our sessions were in classroom. So people would meet, the hiring group, everyone sit in a room, and the trainer would go through materials. Well, it's much more difficult to do that now. People are in different time zones. It's hard to have 10, 15 people in a Zoom room together. So pack the onboarding program with as much self-led material as possible. These can be quizzes, videos, presentations. Put good thought into what type of material will make someone successful and put in here. Now, although we want to have self-led material, that does not mean that we don't want to encourage teamwork. Super important, if you have people who are starting at the same time, encourage them to break out and meet with each other on a Zoom or whatever and do the assignments together. They're getting new perspective, they're bouncing ideas off of each other, getting thoughts from different angles, but really they're bonding, they're creating these relationships. The people that start a job the same time as you and you're doing these things together, you're going to really create lasting bonds and relationships. So encourage people to meet up. People from different offices can group together, get to know each other. Buddy program. Anyone that doesn't have a buddy program, you definitely should. A buddy program is when a new hire comes in and you pair them with a peer, someone who's like in the same role but more senior in the organization. And the purpose of the buddy is really to just have that additional point of contact, help people during that scary time of starting something new. You don't want the only point of contact for a new hire to be their manager and the trainer. You want to give them more of like a peer to socialize with. So a lot of great benefits from having a buddy program in place. For the buddy, it gives them an additional point of contact, someone that they can refer to with questions, or the assistance with anything. It increases their socialization with other people in the organization. And as intentional as you're going to be with developing the materials for the onboarding program, it's never 100% how things actually work. So having someone that they can refer to really understand how things actually get done in the organization is great to have. And it's also just nice to have someone else check up on you when you're a new hire to see how you're doing, see if you need anything. Now, for the buddy, it's an amazing opportunity to grow their coaching and mentoring skills. They'll get increased responsibilities, being more senior. They're an advocate for the company culture, a role model, so they should be a team player. So it's elevating them to that status. And then getting a fresh perspective. I love when people come into the organization. I want people to challenge me. I want to get new perspective. So it's the same thing for the buddy. You have someone new come in. They're coming from, they have their own industry experience, coming from somewhere else. you want to get these new perspectives, have people challenge you, have people challenge the buddy. You know, they might ask a question, why are things done this way? You might have a really good reason why. But maybe there's other things where, you know, it kind of gives you that light bulb moment. Hey, maybe we should change this process around. For the organization, I mean, it's going to free up a lot of time for the manager and the trainer to focus on other projects. Um, it creates an employee development program. So having this internal path of development and getting new skills for the buddy. And it's just another organic way to spread the company DNA from that person who kind of should be a representative of what the company culture is. And then just naturally, you know, giving that off with the new hire who they're a buddy with. Ramping. This is a ramping schedule that I use with my team. It's in Google Sheets. You can see the ramp up period, the target each person has for each month, and it's broken down into quarters on the bottom. You want everyone to have, you know, when we're in an office, we have screens and dashboards everywhere, and everyone knows like what's going on, the numbers. When everyone's dispersed, you want to make sure that they have easy access to the information and the data at their fingertips. You never want to be in a situation where someone's ramping up and, you know, they go a month, 2 months, they're underperforming, and you talk to them about it and they don't even know. Other side of the coin, you never want people to know that they're not overachieving. So give people easy access to the information. They should know exactly where they are in ramp up. You know, so anyone can come to this Google Sheet and they see at the bottom exactly what percentage they are to ramping up fully and hitting their goals. So 3 final tips to take away when you're setting up your onboarding program. Encourage self-learning. You know, as much material as you can put on there that they can do on their own, the better. But encourage them to meet with other people in the team and work on these activities together. Provide full access and transparency to everything from the get-go. This means the ramp-up plan. They should know exactly what the expectations are, how long it takes, what are their targets each month. Give them the onboarding program. Day 1 to the final day, they should get it in advance, know exactly what they're going to go through, exactly what the expectations are, and empower other people. Create new leaders. Have a buddy program in place, lean on more senior people to run some of the onboarding sessions. So empower other people, create the next generation of leaders in the organization. Now, my favorite part is the actual running of the team, keeping everything together. So some important things to keep in mind when you're running a team in situations like this. Again, keep in mind, I am 10 hours apart from my team. Use meetings to structure the week. People are, you know, the hours kind of get blurred. People wake up in their bed, take a shower, go to the desk in the kitchen or in the office or the bedroom, and there really isn't that separation. They're on the phone all day with customers, not really dealing with people internally. So have meetings in place. You want to have like touch points with people in your team all throughout the week. So it's not just a once a week check-in kind of thing. So some of the type of meetings that I run with my team is a weekly kickoff meeting. So, you know, Monday morning, we gather together, talk about what's going on for the week. I also have one-on-ones, personal meetings with each person once a week. We'll have a won or lost deal summary. So taking a deal that we closed or lost and talking about it together. You know, you're going to have a lot of information. You don't want to silo that, the information that people are taking away from these deals. So have them share, spread knowledge. Product updates, our platform is changing extremely fast. So we have weekly product updates, not really about the features that were released, but you know, what's the value of these features? How could customers use these? And then office hours, super important. 1 hour a day blocked off on my calendar. Everyone in my team knows I'm going to be waiting in a Zoom. They can join, not join, but I'll be there. It allows them to hop in, have those quick questions. You know, people need additional availability from their manager. They're not in office. They can't just spit questions out. So having this 1 hour, I found to be a really great tool to implement. Everyone is really appreciative of it. You know, people will come in, maybe especially the newer people, they need help setting up a sales order, or creating an invoice, or structuring a presentation for an upcoming demo that they have. Um, in addition to that, it allows you to free up your other time. So you're not going to get pinged all throughout the day with Slack messages and calls and emails. They know that, okay, this is the 1 hour each day when you're available. So they'll consolidate their questions and bring it all at once. So it really helps you kind of free up all that additional time to focus on the more important work, and not just answering those quick off questions. Invite guest speakers whenever you can. This is going to help tie the organization together. Keep in mind, these people have not been in an office. They haven't met their colleagues. They haven't met their colleagues even in the same location that they're in. So bring in guest speakers whenever you can. In a weekly kickoff meeting, maybe you want to bring in another team manager to talk about what their team is going through, challenges, successes, share that information. The won and lost deal summaries. Maybe there's another rep in one of the other teams that closed an interesting deal. Bring them in to talk about it. Again, it's elevating other people. It's matching faces with names, getting people to know each other. Product updates. Bring in someone from the product team. Talk about what they're doing. Create accountability. We'll get to this in one of the next slides, but you want people to have more ownership of the things that they're working on these days. Celebrate successes. We're in sales. We need that motivation. It's an emotional roller coaster. Sometimes you feel amazing. Sometimes you feel horrible. This is what salespeople feed off of. So you want to be sure to celebrate together. When you're in an office, you know, there's the high five, the congratulations, you hear people. So you need to replicate that and not forget about it when you move to a work from home environment. Last, but definitely not least important, have fun. You know, this is a challenging time for everyone. You want people to enjoy their work. They shouldn't be, you know, miserable, feel isolated. So have fun while you're doing it. The way that we like to kind of lighten the mood in the weekly team meeting, you know, this is every Monday morning, 9 a.m. first thing. You want to get people up, engaged, talking, get them open. So I like to start it off with like an icebreaker question. Some of the questions that I've asked with the team is, if you could bring 3 things to a deserted island, what would they be? Which cartoon character do you resemble the most or relate to the most? You know, if COVID wasn't happening, what's a place that you haven't been but you'd like to go? And just gets the mood lightened up, people talking, getting to know each other. Inside the sales studio, every Friday, one person on the sales team gets asked a question. They record themselves 1 minute, 3 minutes, you know, answering the question. It could be a kind of like MTV Cribs type thing. Maybe they're showing something cool that they like in their apartment. Maybe it's an interesting book. Maybe it's just some information or a talent that they have. And again, it's getting people out there, knowing the team, getting videos of them. So it's not just a face and a name. You want to see people's body language, how they talk. So it's really fun, especially for the newer people. Celebrations, I talked about it earlier. You want to keep these celebrations going. Back when we had an office or people went to the office, we have what we call gong deals. These are deals over a certain threshold. We had a really huge gong whenever someone would close a deal like this. People would congregate around there. They'd ring the gong. So we wanted to bring this into the remote world. Whenever someone starts at Monday in the sales team, they get their care package with their laptop and their screen and the keyboard and their sales playbook and all that stuff. But we also include a miniature gong. So when someone closes a gong deal, they get a video, record themselves, bang it. It goes through in a celebration Slack channel. Such a good feeling when your manager shouts you out. You know, you're in your apartment all day. It's great to know that other people acknowledge what you're doing, they appreciate what you're doing, and that you're contributing to the company's success. It's just an all-around amazing feeling when the head of sales, the VP of sales, you know, comments on it, or the co-founders make a comment on the thread. It's just a really important way to keep these celebrations going. MITs, not the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MITs are most important things. This is one of my favorite things. It's so easy and it makes such a huge impact. So what MITs are, at first we implemented this in a Slack channel. First thing, every morning, each rep, they look at their book of business, their calendar, they say, what are the 3 most important things that I need to do today? In sales, things are very repetitive, same actions over and over. So taking that zoom out approach and looking at what areas are most important and putting these in the Slack channel. Um, and you might think this is kind of like for me to know what's going on in their world. It's not. This is way more for them than it is for me. It gives them the ability to zoom out, prioritize their day, prioritize their calendar, um, and identify what is the most important thing that they need to do. And it kind of gives the reps the ability to see each other and what each other is working on. And I mentioned before, be adaptive. It's completely okay to change processes. So we used to do the MITs on a daily basis. Um, we decided that that was kind of missing like the accountability aspect. And when it's in a Slack channel, everything was coming in and it would just get pushed up the thread. It would really be hard to like find the things that you wanted to do. So we moved it into Monday. Instead of doing it daily, we now do it on a weekly basis. So again, first thing, Monday morning, zoom out. What are the 3 to 5 most important things for this week? Okay, I need to schedule a meeting with um, the SE and work on a presentation for the demo. I need to advance this deal forward by scheduling a meeting with the VP of success. Whatever it is, have that zoom out view. And then at the end of the week, on Thursday, Friday, they can go in, hold them promises to themselves. There could be things outside of the MITs that they want to track, progress they made in other areas. So it's just a great way to kind of log what you did that week and identify what you accomplished and maybe what you missed and you need to push over to the next week. Weekly forecasting. Yes, we use Salesforce. We have our reporting and our forecasting in Salesforce. But I find that to be kind of reactionary. Salesforce is going to forecast the numbers whether or not the rep is on top of their deals. So in addition to that, I want to help people be accountable for their numbers and how they forecast. So at the beginning of each week, they look at their pipeline, look at their opportunities, and they call out, this is what I'm going to close at the end of the month. Just to get people in the habit of better forecasting the month early on. So we'll track the changes throughout the week, to see how their forecast for the month changes. And it just creates that additional level of ownership over their pipeline and their opportunities. Call reviews. Really important, when you're in an office environment, you overhear calls. We learn from each other. We don't really have that ability anymore when everyone's dispersed. So we still wanted to replicate this in a way. So what we have here, once a week, we all will listen to a specific call on our own, and then we'll rate it on our own, and then we'll group up in a meeting and talk about it. You want to guide people how to review the call. What are the important things they want to look at? I mean, you can review calls and pick them apart, but when you give too much feedback, there aren't clear action items or clear takeaways. So what I do is I identify what are the 4 most common things that the majority of the reps are facing, and let's all view the call through the same lens. Okay, and I don't care about timeline and authority and the basics and everything everyone already knows. I want to pick 4 things that we're struggling with, and then make everyone review the call through that lens. And then you can really move the needle on certain areas. Do it for a month, improve, pick 4 new things. Do it for a month, improve, 4 new things. So that's something we found a lot of success with. And just to wrap it up, if we're to kind of like summarize all the things that we've gone through, it's a different world, a different situation. It's okay to change. It's going to require different execution in the way you run your team meetings, different execution in the way you hire, in the candidate profile. Be adaptable to these changes and you'll be able to continue forward and still hit your goals. Empower others. Have a buddy program in place, have trainers, bring in more of those senior experienced reps and have them talk to the team, talk about their experiences, their deals that they won, lost, things that they learned along the way. Promote inter and intra-team collaboration. Make sure you have meetings in place where the team is meeting people from other departments. And the more transparency you can provide in your processes, in your numbers, in people's progress, this drives accountability and makes people succeed and do great things. So thank you all very much for joining. I hope you got some value out of it. I'm going to pause and see if we have anything in the Q&A. Okay, why don't you use Monday Board for ramp up, but Google Sheets? That's a good question. I suppose we could. I think the way I needed to break it down into monthly and then quarters and have the roll-ups, there are a lot of calculation capabilities in Monday. We also have, conditional color formatting and a lot of new stuff, but I suppose I could have. I just found it easier to do that in Google Sheets, but great question. What are the most successful compensation plans for your sales team? So our most successful compensation plan is no compensation. Everyone, we do things really revolutionary at Monday. We have a non-commissioned sales team, so everyone's on a flat salary. People think this is crazy. There's a lot of huge benefits. I'm not going to drill into it too much because this was discussed in a previous meeting, but this is sales. This is our profession. You have developers, you have marketing. We're all doing amazing things for the company. No one is better than anyone else. We don't pay developers bonuses because they code faster. We don't pay marketing bonuses because they bring more leads. So we just think this is our profession. We don't want to be viewed differently. This is a team effort. We're working with other departments. We compensate well on the flat salary, so that's how we compensate. I would like to understand better the call review. Could you explain what time of call you use? I assume they want to say what type of call we use. It's another great question. So you want to make sure that you standardize it. And don't just pick something arbitrarily. Like, identify where the team is struggling. If it's a new team, maybe you want to start at the very beginning of the customer journey and work your way to closing. So, for us, we started with exploratory calls or introductory calls. We identified the major areas that we can improve and move the needle and work on those. Do that for a month, 2 months. Then move on to product demos. Identify the 4 most important areas you need people to improve on the demos and focus on those for a month or 2. Then move on to deal advancement, okay, pricing negotiations, whatever it is, but make sure it is standardized so week to week you are reviewing the same type of call from different reps. Not a question, but wanted to congratulate and thank. Yeah, you're very welcome, Fabrice. Your weekly meeting with the team, does the people explain what is he doing and what is he going to do for that week in front of the rest of the group? Do they get bored? No, the weekly team meeting isn't so much of planning the week. It's more kind of coming together, talking about the numbers on the team and the department and company level, where we're at, what's the gap to closing the month or the quarter. There's going to be so many updates that happen throughout the week. We just opened up a new position, so hey guys, we're looking for new colleagues to join you. Can you share this job post? Interesting product updates, interesting developments. It might be things that I notice people are struggling with or doing incorrectly. In one of them we had a quick pricing training session. How can we talk about pricing in a better way? How can we differentiate plans? So each weekly meeting is different. What I do, I actually have a board where I keep a running list, because things just are going to pop up throughout the week. So I keep a running list of the next week's meeting, and I'll just add things to it throughout the week that I deem as important. Since there are no commissions, do you pay bonus if KPIs are met? No, there's no commission, no bonuses. We pay a flat salary. We screen very well for the type of people that we want to bring in the team. These are people who, everyone likes money. Let's be honest. But the people that we're looking for, that's not the main driver. It's not about the commission that's going to make them perform. It's people who need to be winners. It's people that you put a leaderboard on the wall, they need to be number one. It's not for anyone else but themselves. And these are the people that we're screening for, and then I'm screening for, that innate go-getter attitude that, second place is not an option. These are the type of people that we look for. Yeah, commission doesn't play into it. Again, when I say no commission, people think, people don't really know what to think. We kind of do pay the commission. Like, we pay a very competitive OTE. The only difference is we're paying up front. We're paying the full amount that they would get somewhere else for hitting target, but up front, because we believe in these people. And now it's their turn. They owe it to us, and they're going to prove it to us. Question. Thanks. Great. Okay, everyone, thank you all very, very much for joining. I hope this was interesting. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions about the presentation. You all will get a recording, and whatever questions were not answered, we'll be sure to address these all by email. So thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your night, and take care.